Tonight on The Big Idea, the big business of relationships, from celebrity romance to dating with new technologies. Cashing in on love right now on The Big Idea. Welcome to the big show we call The Big Idea. I'm Donny Deutsch. Tonight, the business of love has never been more lucrative. Matchmaking service. And later, the woman detective who goes undercover to catch cheating spouses. She's a decoy. Don't blame her.
I wear my sunglasses at night so I can watch you breathe and breathe.
Myers. Up next, the sex trap. This detective goes undercover to catch cheating mates. Be right back. We're back with a big idea, and tonight we're talking about cashing in on relationships. My next guest, Sandra Hope, says she makes a great living from going undercover to catch cheating spouses. She's not just a detective, she's also the bait. So Sandra Hope, you are basically a sex spy, the love detective. In effect, you thought your husband was cheating on you. Right. Turned out he was with your daughter's friends' moms.
My daughter's best friend's mother, yes.
Okay. And you basically, how did you get into now becoming a decoy to help women find out if their husbands are cheating?
How did I get into it?
Yeah.
I just started Make Check, private investigations, and I saw the need for decoys. Covert decoys is where I would, put on wigs and be what the other man would like me to be.
So a woman calls you up and says, I think my husband is cheating.
Right.
And you charge them how much?
$850 for a decoy.
$850 for a night, and you'll basically go out. You know what the wife will say. My husband goes to this bar or this place,
or at the gym after work, that type. And I'm more like the person that you want to see. I'm like the third party. Before maybe that guy would really find another woman, really get involved, and really break up a marriage or a wedding or a relationship. I'm that kind of person to see if they do that first before it's a real person.
So this is not, they don't even think that necessarily their husband's having an affair. This is almost proactive. Well, there's something screwy about, though, isn't it? Aren't we then looking for trouble? Let's just go on the premise that I believe that the average guy is not necessarily looking for trouble, but that a lot of people, like if you put a gorgeous woman in front of them and you're coming onto them in a strong way, aren't you almost sometimes creating a monster versus just unveiling one?
Absolutely not.
No?
Everybody has choices in life, and if there is a pretty woman in the area and you are engaged, you're married,
sure,
and you're happy, that does not mean that you have to...
So what will you do as bait? What will you actually, how will you approach the guy?
Approach the guy usually, I'm out of town, do you know where there's a great Chinese restaurant? I just know a lot about the guy. My client will tell me, if they like Chinese food, steak,
So
whatever.
you're trying to see if he says, not only do I know one, but how'd you like to join me for dinner?
Exactly.
Okay. Now, will you take it past that point?
If my client wants to, yes. It'll only go to see if he will meet me at that spot, but won't go any further.
And he won't go any further. What percentage of the men that you've decoyed for or two have actually turned out to be cats? What's your quick mother-in-law research about how many guys do fall over the cliff?
It's almost 100%. And
is that because the sample going in is a tainted sample that women are either suspecting their husbands are about to, or you're not just getting the average woman who's happily married. There's something obviously
Exactly. I'm not getting everybody.
Yeah.
And the people who call me already suspect. They already have reasons. Coming home late, not answering the cell phone, have to go outside and talk on the cell phone.
So why wouldn't they just hire a traditional PI to see if they're, and have their husbands followed, and that's going to be the real cake? Because a husband will always at this point say, well, I didn't do anything, and I mean, there's real no proof here.
I am the traditional PI, and I do also do video surveillance, and I do that work as well.
Okay. So you will then report back to the woman, and do men hire you also?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
It's actually 50% men, 50% women.
Okay, but men are hiring you...
Either do video surveillance or decoys as well. Of course, I don't do the decoys.
Okay, but just other types of decoys.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And is the same math most of the time you're catching the women also?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. When you go back and tell the spouse, is there an art to serving it up to them? Because it's obviously some very tough news. So when you call a female client of yours, and you basically, this guy turned out he was all over it, how do you serve it up to them?
Well, I tell them that I have the videotape, or that I had went and did the decoy, and they were just so anxious to know the news that I don't think there's any way just to tell them. They're waiting anxiously. And you have to remember, these people who, let's just say husbands, don't come home, talking on the phone, wearing different clothing, changing, not giving their attentions.
What are the 4 or 5 telltale signs that a spouse knows that their spouse is
coming home late, you know, saying I'll be gone just for a few minutes and coming home hours later, leaving the cell phone off or having a different cell phone number come up, you know, deciding he's going to change different by shaving or wearing different clothes, doing his hair different, making his appearance better.
It's also safe to say that if people are out past midnight, there's just nothing good happening. There's no business dinners that are going on past midnight. Is that fair to say?
Well, you know, really, if you can't take your significant other, you know, if it's not a real business meeting where you couldn't. But if you have to go out to a bar or go out to meet the guys or meet the girls, really, and if you're with somebody that you really care about, there's no reason.
Well, Sandra Hope making about $1,000 an hour on, unfortunately, a lot of the infidelity that's going on in the world. Thanks for stopping by. I want to thank Sandra Hope. Up next, speaking Deutsch, I'm going to give the CEO tips to dating. How do you apply business principles to meeting the right spouse? Speaking right now.